Hello, 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 hello. Okay, okay, okay. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Good morning, good morning. It's a new week. It's a new week. It's a new week. Okay, let's read the chapter 6. Chapter 6. What? Building the new world order. Okay. Vocabulary review. Foot the cost. 承担成本 ，sense 是什么意思来着？忘了，但是这个很长，本质啊，对 sense 本质sense essence essence， 哎，我注意在前面 essence，the advocate， 注意又是在前面 advocate 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 拥护呀，这还有一个 recipient 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 advocate advocate 采取支持赞同拥护 advocate 注意在前面注意在前面 advocate advocate 注意在前面 advocate advocate OK advocate 注意在前面 advocate anarchy sovereign sovereignty 这个啥 anarchy 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 sovereignty sovereignty 主权 sovereignty claim sovereignty over potential潜在的 potential OK potential their leaders are being groomed to become potentates potentate became potentates in new high-tech feudalism paying homage homage to their lords in New York. It didn't come about by chance, but by conscious and deliberate and responsible for playing. Okay, that's all for yesterday. So today we'll continue with the CFR sets. CFR sets strategy. Conceal, 意会 conceal of foreign relations. Conceal of foreign relations. The brain trust for implementing 实现 implement 实现执行 The Fabian plan in America is called the Conceal on Foreign Relations. We shall look at it closely in future chapters. But it's important to note that at this point that almost all of Americans' leadership has come from this small group that includes our presidents and the advisors, cabinet members, ambassadors, board members of Federal Reserve System, board member, 董事会成员 ，directors 是吧？ Directors of the largest banks and investment houses, presidents of universities, and heads of metropolitan newspapers. Metropolitan大都会 metropolitan newspapers, news services, and TV networks. It is not an exaggeration to describe this group as the hidden government of the United States. CFR members have never been shy about calling the weakening of America as a necessary step toward the greater good of building world government. Calling for the weakening of Americans as necessary step toward the greater good of building world government. One of the CFR founders was John Foster Dulles, who later was appointed Secretary of State by CFR member Dwight Eisenhower in 1939. Dulles said, "Some dilution or leveling off of the sovereignty system as it prevails in the world today must take place, to the immediate disadvantage of those nations which now possess the preponderance of power. preponderance power, the establishment of a common money would deprive our governments of exclusive control over national money. The United States must be prepared to make sacrifice after war in setting up a world political economic order which would level of inequalities of economic opportunity with respect to nations. 这单词好像认识，但是这句话是啥意思呢？我想我在学习英语，请帮我翻译一下这句话。请提供翻译细节。请提供翻译细节。Some delusion or leaving off delusion 虚弱或 delusion 稀释。Our solar system as it prevails in the world today 流行 prevail 流行 in the world today must be take place 某种程度上削弱或平衡当今世界主权体系的现状是不可避免。level off to immediate disadvantage of those nations which now possess the preponderance of power to the immediate disadvantage of those nations which now possesses the preponderance 目前拥有优势国家，这对当前拥有优势权利的国家造成直接的不利影响。The establishment of a common money would deprive our government to exclusive control over national money 建立一种共同将剥夺我们政府对国家货币的独占控制权。The United States must be prepared to make sacrifice afterward in setting up a world political economic order. 美国必须做好准备 in setting up a world political 一个世界政治经济秩序。美国必须做好牺牲的准备，以便在随后建立一个世界。which would level of inequalities of economic opportunity with respect to nations. 这将消除或者平衡经济机会的不均等在国家之间 with respect to nations。某种程度上削弱当今世界主权经济体系是不可避免的，这将对当前拥有优势权利的国家造成制约。建立一种共同货币将剥夺我们政府对国家。美国必须做好心理准备，以便随后建立世界经济秩序，从而消除各国在经济机会方面的不平等。我天呐，这真敢说呀！这段话谈了几个要点：第一，现有的主权体系需要改变，这种改变会影响占优势地位的国家，提出建立共同货币的设想，强调美国需要为建立平等世界做出牺牲。OK， 我再读一下这段话啊。Some delusion, some delusion or level of delusion 削弱或者 level of 平衡。Some delusion or leveling off of the sovereignty system as it prevails in the world today must take place. To the immediate disadvantage of those nations which now possess the preponderance of power, now possess 优势拥有 now possess the preponderance of power, to the immediate disadvantage of those nations which now possess the preponderance of power. The establishment of a common money would deprive our government of exclusive control over national money. Would deprive 削弱 deprive of the United States must be prepared to make sacrifice afterwards in setting up a world political economic order which would level off inequalities of economic opportunity with respect to nations. 在国家之间 with respect to nations. 美国必须建立一个这个秩序将会消除各国在经济 respect with respect to nations. With respect to nations. 对什么什么而言 with respect to with respect to 对什么什么而言就什么而言在什么什么方面在国家层面上来讲 Several members basically was the National Security Advisor to CF members Jimmy Carter. He wrote Some international cooperation has already been achieved, but further progress will require greater American sacrifice, more intensive efforts to shape a new world monetary structure will have to be undertaken, with some consequent risk to the present relatively favorable American position. 一些国际合作已经取得了进展。Some international cooperation has already been achieved. Has already been achieved. Achieve. I've achieved what I set out to do. Achieved. But further progress will require greater American sacrifice. More intensive efforts to shape a new world monetary structure will have to be undertaken. 必须付出更深入的能力 more efforts 以塑造新的世界货币结构 with some consequent risk consequent the to the present relative favorable American position. With some consequent 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 没错呀 consequent结果后续为什么这一块是 consequent 随之发生的作为结果的这样题。And the spring 1983 economic summit首脑会议 in Williamsburg, Virginia, President Ronald Reagan declared national economies need monetary coordination, mechanism, and that is why an integrated world economic needs a common monetary standard. But no national currency will do. Only a world currency will work. Monetary coordination mechanism 需要货币相应的机构，货币协调机构 coordination need monetary coordination mechanism. 货币协调机制 and that is why an integrated world economy needs a common monetary standard. Integrate 世界经济一体化啊，这就是世界经济一体化。The self-strategy for convergence 改变 of the world's monetary system was spelled out by Harvard Professor Richard N. Cooper, a CFR member who had been the Undersecretary of State for Economic Affairs in Carter administration. I suggest a radical alternative scheme for the next century. 激进的改制机构 The creation of a common currency for all of the industrial democracies with a common monetary policy and a joint bank of issuing to determine that monetary policy. How can independent states accomplish that? They need to turn over the determination office to a supranational 超国家的 supranational body. It is highly doubted whether the American public, to take just one example, could ever accept that countries with oppressive autocratic regimes should vote on the monetary policy that would affect monetary conditions in the United States. For such a bold step to work at all, it presupposes a certain convergence of political values. I suggest a radical alternative scheme for the next century. 激进替代方案 Radical 替代 scheme. The creation of a common currency for all of the industrial democracies. 所有工业化民主国家建立一种共同货币 The creation of a common currency for all of the industrial democracies with a common monetary policy and a joint bank of issuing and a joint bank of issue to determine that monetary policy. Determine 确定 that monetary policy 决定决策并实行共同的货币政策，设立一个 joint bank of issue。A joint bank of issue 设立一个联合发行银行。How can independent states accomplish that? They need to turn over the determination of monetary policy as to a supranational body. 需要将货币政策叫超国家机构。我建议一个针对下个世纪的基建替代，为所有工业化民主国家创造一个共同货币，并实现共同的货币政策。同时设立一个联合发展银行来独立国家如何能够实现这种目标？他们需要将货币政策决定权交给一个超国家机构。这段话提出了一个重要的经济改革方案，类似于现在的欧元区模式，主要3个意思：第一，共同货币，统一的货币政策，超国家的管理机构，这就是欧盟吗？It is highly doubtful 强烈怀疑 whether the American public to take just one example, whether the American public could ever accept that countries with oppressive autocratic regions should vote on the questions that would affect monetary conditions in the United States. For such a bold step to work at all, it presupposes a certain convergence of political values. 完全看不懂。请举一个例子来。I doubt whether the American could ever accept that countries with oppressive autocratic regions残酷的 oppressive autocratic 独裁 autocratic regions could ever accept that countries should vote on the monetary policy that would affect monetary conditions in the United States. 应该对影响美国货币状况的货币政策进行投票 should vote on the monetary policy affect monetary conditions 这种政策将影响美国货币状况，对影响美国货币状况进行投票。For such a bold step to work at all 大胆的举措 to work at all for such a bold step to work at all it presupposes a certain convergence of political values, a certain converge, converge,相交 convergence, a certain convergence of political values, 一定程度上的政治价值观系统。实行该人之前应该对影响美国货币是这样一道，它前提一定程度上的政治机制。建立共同货币体制面临两个挑战，第一个，政治制度的差异可能导致公众的抵触，需要参与国之间的政治价值观有一定的共同基礎。convergence as presupposes a certain coverage of political values. Above step 它的步骤 such a process to work at all, it presupposes a certain coverage of the convergence of political values. Convergence. Convert. Converge. Converge. Convergence.不一样的 convert 是改变 converge convert 改变 converge 收敛 convergence 趋同。The points of convergence. Convergence. Phrases such as monetary coordination, mechanism, modern world economic order, convergence of political values, or new world order are not very specific. To the average, to the average person. They sound pleasant and harmless, yet to the insiders of the club, they are code phrases which have a specific meaning. The termination of national sovereignty, and the creation of world government (CFR) member Richard Garner, another advisor to President Carter, explains the meaning of these phrases and also calls for FPS strategy of deception and gradualism. Deception 欺骗 Decept decent deception, 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 deception. And gradualism, 渐进派 gradual, gradual, gradualism, gradualism, 阶级主义 In short, the House of World Order, the House of World Order will have to be built from the bottom up and end around national sovereignty. Eroding it piece by piece will accomplish much more than the old-fashioned frontal assault. The meaning of these phrases and also calls for the forbidden strategy and gradualism. In short, the House of World Order,世界秩序大厦，以自下而上的建立。简而言之，世界秩序大厦。An end run around the national sovereignty. Enduring it piece by piece. Erode, 采取绕开国家主权的策略加以削弱。We accomplish much more than old-fashioned frontal assault. Frontal assault. Frontal assault. 强调从基层开始建立新秩序，主张通过渐进方式而非激进方式来改变现状，暗示直接挑战国家主权的方式效果不佳。In short, the House of World Order will have to be built from the bottom up and end run, 绕过方程 end run around national sovereignty. 绕过国家主权 end run around sovereignty. Eroding it piece by piece. 一点点去侵蚀它 will accomplish much more than the old-fashioned frontal assault. Assault. End run. 绕过防守 In short, the House of World Order will have to be built from the bottom up and end run around national sovereignty, eroding it piece by piece. Eroding it piece by piece. As for the programmed decline 设计好的 decline of the American economy. Several members, Samir Hamdan, argues that if higher education is considered to be desirable for the general population, a program is then necessary to lower the job expectations of those who receive a college education. If higher education is desirable for the general population, a program is then necessary to lower the job expectation of those who receive a college education. Chairman of Federal Reserve says, the standard of living of the average American has to decline. I don't think you can escape that. As for program decline of the American, if a higher education is necessary, if higher education is considered to be desirable for the general population, a program is then necessary to lower the job expectation of those who receive college education. If higher education is considered 被认为是 to be desirable for the general population. Desirable for the general population 大众。如果高等教育被认为对普通大众是理想的 A program is then necessary to lower the job expectation of those who receive a college education. 以降低就业期望 Lower the job expectation of those who receive. 那么就必要制定一个计划以降低受过大学教育者的就业期望。他假设了高等教育的普及化，认为需要主动调整大学毕业生的就业期望，暗示了教育普及可能带来的就业市场变化。高等教育大众化后可能带来的就业期望与现实之间的矛盾。大众化之后 ，popular or general population is considered to be desirable. 可取的、理想的。高等教育普及化之后，那么可能带来的就业期望与现实之间的矛盾。As for program decline of the American economy suffers, that if higher education is considered to be desirable for the general population, 高等教育普及化之后 A program is then necessary to lower the job expectation for those who receive a college education. 必须降低他们的期望。Cell member Paul Volcker, former chairman of Federal says, the standard of living of the average American has to decline. I don't think you can escape that. By 1993, Volcker had become the United Chairman of the Trilateral Commission. Trilateral 三边关系 Commissions. The Trilateral Commission created by David Rockefeller to coordinate the building of the New World Order in accordance with the Garden strategy and around national sovereignty and during piece by piece. 三边关系协调 building the New World Order in accordance with the Garden strategy. The objective is to draw the United States, Mexico into political and economic union under slogans such as free trade and environmental protection. Each nation is to surrender its sovereignty piece by piece. Until a full-blown regional government emerges from the process. The new government will control each nation's working conditions, wages, and taxes. Once that has happened, it will be a relatively simple step to merge the regionals into global government. That is the reality behind the so-called trade treaties within the European Union, the North American Free Trade Agents, the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Agreement, (APEC), and the General Agreement on tariffs and trade. They have little to do with trade in the trilateral in the Trilateral Commission's annual report for 1993, Walker explains. 天哪 until a full-blown region government emerges. Hours has passed, still the deal did not emerge. 没有出现 from the until a full-blown完全形成 regional government emerges from the progress. New government will control each. 直到 full region emerges. A full-blown region. full-blown 完全全面发展 full-blown blow 完全承受的地区政府 （regional government） for the progress。这些地区机构，这些地区机构就是这样。但是成功了吗？没有成功。Interdependence is driving our countries toward convergence. Convergence in areas once considered fully within the domestic purview. Some of these areas involve government regulatory policy, such as environmental standards, the fair treatment of workers, and taxation. Taxation. Released a report co-authored by Toyo Garden, chairman of the board of Bank of Tokyo and former Japanese Minister of Finance for International Affairs, had been a Fulbright scholar who has trained at Princeton and taught at Harvard Business School. He also had been in charge of Japan desk of International Monetary Fund. In short, he represents the Japanese monetary interests within the world order. In this report, Gong explains that the real importance of trade agreement is not trade, but building of global government. Oh my god. Okay. Interdependence 相互依赖 is driving our country toward convergence in areas once considered fully within democratic purview. Some of these areas involve government regulatory policies, such as environment. 这是啥意思嘞？相互依赖推动我们国家走向趋同。It's driving our countries toward convergence in areas once considered fully with the domestic purview. Once considered fully with the domestic purview. 国内范围，过去被认为完全属于国内管辖范围。Some of these areas involve government regulatory ，bureaucracy 政府 ，regulatory 监管。其中一些领域涉及政府监管政策 ，such as environment standards and the fair treatment of workers' taxation。叫什么？相互依赖正在推动我们之间涉及到一些规矩完全规定的其中一些领域涉及到环境标准。United Trades released a report authored by JEKYLL co-authored by who was trained at Princeton business. He also had been in charge of Japanese desk. In short, he represented the military interests. The trilateral Commission released a report co-authored by 武堂行辉 Toyo Garden, Chairman of the Board of Bank of 董事长 Board of the Bank of Tokyo, and formerly Japanese Minister of Financial and International Affairs, 日本财政部国际事务部长 had been a Fulbright scholar. 培训并且还有任教 and taught at Harvard Business School. He also had been in charge of Japanese desk of International Monetary Fund. The Japan desk of International Monetary Fund. 日本事务部 desk. Japan desk. In short, he represented the Japanese monetary interests within the G. This report currently explains that the real importance of trade agreements is not trade, but building of global government. Regional trade, 地区间的 trade arrangements should not be regarded as ends in themselves, but as supplements of global liberalization. Regional agreements provide models or building blocks for increased or strengthened globalism. Western Union represents regionalism in its truest form. The steps toward deepening increasing the number of agreements are dramatic and designed to be irreversible. A common currency, central bank, current, and parliament. Parliament will have expanded powers. After the Massachusetts Summit, the downtown where the meeting was held. An economist editorial pronounced the verdict. Call it what you will, by any other name, it is federal government. In sum, the regional integration 地区的融合 process in Europe can be seen as akin to an exercise in nation building. 区域贸易安排，区域贸易 arrangement being by ends in themselves regarded as but as supplements of global liberal liberalization, but as supplement to global liberalization. Regional arrangements 地区事务 provide models or building blocks or increased or strengthened globalism. 区域活动促进了全球主义的模型或者模块。Western Union represents regionalism in its truest form. 欧盟代表了最纯粹的区域主义形式。The steps forward deepening The steps toward deepening are dramatic and designed to be irreversible. Steps towards deepening are dramatic and designed to be 是戏剧性的，并且 A common currency, central bank, account of Britain. 法院和议会 Count and Parliament will have expanded powers after the 马斯特里赫特 Summit, downtown where the meeting was held. An economist editor pronounced the verdict. Editorial 经济学人 An economist editorial editorial pronounced the pronounced the verdict. Call it what you will by any other name, it is federal government. Federal government. In sum, 总而言之 the regional integration 地区融合 progress in Europe 欧洲一体化进程 can be seen as a king can as a king be as king to do something to exercise in nation building and exercise nation building。区域贸易不应该是最终目标，而应该是全球化的补充。区域贸易提供了促进和加强全球主义的模块和构建模块。欧盟代表了最纯粹的区域主义形式，向深化协议观念是戏剧性的，并旨在使其那个共同货币、中央银行、法院、议会拥有的扩大权利。在马斯人康后，我在学习英文，帮我翻译一下这段话。以及欧盟的区域一体化进程吧。区域贸易协定应被视为最终目的，因使得然而区域协定为加强或深化全球化提供了模范或基础。欧盟代表了最纯粹形式的区域主义，深化的步骤是巨大的，并且旨在是不可逆转的。共同货币、中央银行、法院和议会将拥有更大的权利。经济学人的一篇社论宣布，无论你如何称呼它，它都是联邦政府。总之，欧洲的区域一体化进程可以被看作是一场民族国家建设的实践。Regional integration 区域一体化进程。Applying the same perspective. Applying this same perspective. 目的观点 perspective the same applying this perspective to the NAFTA treaty 条约 treaty former Secretary of State said it is not a conversational trade agreement, but the architecture of a new international system. The vital first step. Vital. 必不可少的决定性的一步。Vital. It's vital to do. Play a vital role. The vital first step was a new kind of community of nations. The newspaper article that contained this statement was appropriately entitled, "With US finally creates a new world order." David Rochefort was even more emphatic, 强调 emphatic. More emphatic, he said that it would be criminal not to pass the treaty because everything is in place. After 5 years, to build a true new world in Western hemisphere. By early 1994, the drift toward the New World Order had become a rush. On April, the government of Morocco placed a full-page ad in the New York Times celebrating the creation of the World Trade Order, which was formed by the signing of the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, which took place in Moroccan city, Moroccan, while Americans were still being told that a general agreement on tariff and trade was merely a trade agreement. The internationalists were celebrating a much larger concept. Diaz spelled it out in unmistakable terms. DM and World Bank, San Francisco, the United Nations, the World Trade Organization. History knows where it is going. The World Trade Organization, the third pillar of the New World Order, along with the United Nations, along with and the International Monetary Fund. A real glimpse into the inner workings glimpse to the inner workings. 内部运作。Okay, I think that's all for today. For today, it is a little difficult to read, to understand the meaning of the words.制定的战略是什么呢？ The brain trust of implement of amphibian plans in American is called the conciliatory. We shall look at closely in further chapter, but it is important to know at this point that almost all of Americans' leadership has come from this small group. That includes our president, the advisor, community members, ambassadors, board members, board 董事会成员 of the Federal Reserve System, directors of the largest banks and investment houses. President of universities and the heads of the metropolitan newspapers, 大都会 metropolitan news service and TV networks. It is not an exaggeration, to describe this group as the head government of the United States. Several members have never been shy about calling for the weakening American necessary step toward the greater good of building world government. One of the 7 founders was John Foster Dulles, who later was appointed Secretary of State by a member of the States in 1939. Dulles said some dilution or leveling of the sovereignty system as it prevails in the world today must take place. Prevails 流行，削弱主权，平衡主权，在当今世界很流行。It prevails in world. Prevails 流行，占优势。To the immediate disadvantage of those nations which now possesses the preponderance of the power. Preponderance, the establishment of a common money would deprive our government of exclusive control over national money. The United States must be prepared to make sacrifice afterward in setting up a world political economic order which would level off inequalities of economic opportunities with respect to nations. Would deprive our control over national money. 削弱，剥夺 deprive. Remember Zenberg 1976 wrote, some international cooperation has already been achieved. 取得的进展。But further progress will require greater American sacrifice, more intensive efforts. To shape a new world monetary structure will have to be undertaken, with some of consequent risk to the present relatively favorable American's position. ，hideout 这个 Some international cooperation has been achieved, but further progress will require greater American sacrifice. More intensive efforts to shape a new world monetary structure will have to be undertaken. 付诸实施 with some consequent risk to the present relatively favorable American position. Relatively favorable American position. To the present 对目前相对 favorable 有利的美国地位。National economics need monetary mechanism, and that is why the integrated world economy needs a common monetary stand. But no national currency will do. Only a world currency will work. I suggest a radical alternative scheme for the next century. The creation of a common currency for all of the industrial democracy with a common monetary policy and a joint bank of issue. To determine that monetary policy. How can independent states accomplish that? They need to turn over a determination of monetary policy to a they need to turn over the determination of policy to a supranational body. It's highly they need to turn over 移交 turn over the determination of the policy to a turnover. It's highly doubt whether the American public, take just one example, could ever accept that countries with oppressive autocracy regions should vote on the monetary policy that would affect monetary conditions in the United States. For such a bold step to work at all, it suppose a center convergence of political values. Phrases such as monetary coordinator mechanism, modern economic order, convergence of political values, or new world order are not very specific. To the average person, they sound pleasant and harmless, yet to the insiders of the club, they are code phrases which have a specific meaning: the termination of national sovereignty and the creation of world government. CFR member Richard Garner, another advisor to President Carter, explains the meaning of these phrases and also calls for the Fabian strategy of deception, and gradualism. In short, the house of world will have to be built from the bottom up. House of world order will have to be built from the bottom up and end around the national sovereignty, eroding it piece by piece, will accomplish much more than the old-fashioned frontal assault. As for the programmed decline of the American economy, CFR Samuel Huntington argues that if a higher education is considered to be desirable for the general population, a program is then necessary to lower the job expectations of those who receive a college education. CFR member Paul Volcker, former chairman of the Federal Reserve, says the standard of living of the average Americans has to decline. I don't think you can escape that. By 1993, Volcker had become the United chairman of the Trilateral Commission. The Trilateral Commission was created by David Rockefeller to coordinate the building of the New World Order in accordance with the governance strategies and run national sovereignty and eroding it piece by piece. The objective is to draw the United States, most Canada, Japan, and Western Europe into political and economic union under slogans such as free trade, environmental protection. Each nation is to surrender its sovereignty piece by piece until a full-blown regional government emerges from the progress. The new government will control each nation's working conditions, wages, and taxes. Once that has happened, it will be a relatively simple step to merge the regionals into global government. That is the reality behind the so-called trade treaties within the European Union, the North American Trade Agreement, the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Agreement, and the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. They have little to do with trade. In the Trilateral Commission annual report in 1993, Volcker's plan, interdependence, 相互协作 interdependence, 相互依赖 is driving our countries toward convergence in area once considered fully within the democratic purview. 国内范围 purview. Some of these areas involve government regulatory policies such as the fair treatment of workers and taxation. In 1992, the Trilateral Commission released a report co-authored by Toyo Garden, chairman of the board of the Bank of Tokyo and formerly Japan's Minister of Finance for International Affairs, Gordon had been a Fulbright scholar who was trained at Princeton and taught at Harvard Business School. He also had been in charge of Japan desk of the International Monetary Fund. In short, he represented the Japanese monetary interests within the GSG world order. In this report, clearly represents that the real importance of the trade agreement is not trade but the building of global agreement. Regional trade arrangements should not be regarded as ends in themselves, but as supplement, 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 supplement to global liberalization. Regional arrangements provide models or building blocks for increased or strengthened globalism. Western Union represents regionalism in its truest form. The steps forward deepening, increasing the number of agreements, are dramatic and designed to be irreversible. A common currency, central bank, current, and polar 注意在前边 parliament will expand powers after the summit. An economist editorial pronounced the verdict. Call it with what you will. By any other names, it's federal government. In sum, the regional integration process in Europe can be seen as akin to an exercise in nation building, applying the same perspective to the treaty. Former Secretary of State Henry said it is not conversion of trade agreement, but the architecture of a new international system. The vital first step for the new kind of community of nations. The newspaper article that contained this system was appropriately entitled "Within U.S. Finally Create a New World Order." JEKYLL was even more emphatic he said it would be criminal not to pass the treaty because everything is in place after 500 years to build a true new world in Western Hemisphere. By early 1994, the drift toward a new world order had become a rush. The government of Monaco placed a full-page ad in the New York Times celebrating the creation of the World Trade Organization, which was formed by the signing of the General Agreement on Tariff, and which took place in the Monaco city of Martinis, while Americans were still being told that was merely a trade agreement. The internationalists were celebrating a much larger concept. The ad spelled it out in unmistakable terms. The drift toward New World Order has become a rush. Shifted become a rush. From the side in the General Agreement 关税贸易总协定 which took place in Monaco City of Monaco, while Americans were still being told that merely trade agreement 国际主义者 internationalists1944年布雷顿森林体系世界银行建立1945年 San Francisco United Nations 联合国成立1994年 Moroccan 摩洛哥的马拉喀什 Marrakesh The World Trade Organization History knows where it is going. The World Trade Organization, the third pillar. National World Order along with the United Nations and the International Monetary Fund. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you. Wow, we learn a lot from the internationalists. WTO 是怎么建立的？天呐，真的是看来要读这个历史啊，要读历史啊。Okay, that's all for today. See you tomorrow. Bye bye. Bye bye. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.